Hi everyone, today we are going to talk about solving word problems using systems of equations. Now I know word problems are like your least favorite thing in the world to do, but I promise you they're not too bad if you just model all of the problems I assign to you like I'm doing here in the notes. So if you haven't printed off the note sheet yet, go ahead and pause this video, get that note sheet, print it off, and so you can follow along and write it down as I go through them, okay? Then you can use the notes to do the assignment. If for some reason your printer is not working, then you can just write out the problems and do the notes that way, okay? All right, so the first type of problem we have is when we're finding two numbers. We just call it like a number problem. Before I get into that though, I want to talk about some of these tips I put on here. The first thing is you want to write a statement that tells what each variable represents. This is super important to keep your thoughts organized as you're going through the problem. The second thing is write your two equations, and both equations should have both variables. Okay, that's really important, and I'm going to show you how to write those equations. Once you have those two equations, then you're going to use elimination or substitution. Those are the two methods we learned how to solve this system. Make sure that your answer makes sense, right? If you get an answer that is completely outer limits, then you probably did something wrong somewhere. And then make sure that you answer the question being asked. And I'll explain that as well. But these are all tips that are going to help you, especially on the Keystone exams when you're doing the open-ended problems, and we want to maximize the number of points that you get. So it's important to keep all of this in mind. So we'll go through a couple of different example problems. Make sure you write all this down so you have it. Okay, the first problem says find the value of two numbers if their sum is 12 and their difference is 4. So the first thing is write a statement that tells what each variable represents. And that means to write a let statement. A let statement. And what that means is this. I'm going to say, okay, let x equal the first number, and then I will let y equal the second number. Okay, so I'm giving a statement for what each of my variables represent. And from there, now I'm going to write my two equations. The first equation is find the value of two numbers if their sum is 12. Well, if their sum is 12, that means they add to 12. So that gives me my first equation. X plus y is 12. Okay, that's my first equation. My second equation says their difference is 4. That means if I take the difference of them, if I subtract one from the other, then that is going to equal 4. So I wrote my let statements, I wrote my two equations, and now I'm down to here where I'm going to use elimination or substitution to solve the system. Well, if you look at your two equations, remember with elimination you want the numbers in front to be the same but the signs to be different, and I already have that with the y's, so I could easily solve this system by doing elimination. Remember, I'm going to add my two equations together, so x plus x gives me 2x plus y, plus y minus y, those are going to eliminate, and 12 and 4 gives me 16. And so now that's very easy to solve. Divide both sides by 2, and I get x equals 8. From there now, I need to find what y is. I'm going to go back to that first equation. So I have 8 plus y is 12, which means that y has to be 4. So I have 8 and 4. What I would do then is check. You always want to check. Since I solved in the first equation, I'm going to check in the second equation. So x minus y equals 4. That would mean that 8 minus 4 is equal to 4. I know that that's true. Now, here's the last part. Be sure to answer the question being asked. The two numbers are 8 and 4. I just answered the question being asked. I know this seems like a lot of work, okay, but truly once you write your let statements, write your two equations, and then it's just solving them. This is what we've been doing now for the last week, right? Solving systems of equations. So it's really just adding in this step of your let statements and figuring out what the equations are, okay? Also make sure you do this. Make sure you answer the question. This would get you full credit, the maximum number of points you could get on the Keystone exam if they give you a problem like this. Okay, let's go to the second example. And this one is talking about money. Oftentimes you'll see problems like this. So we're going to break it out step by step so you can see what it is that we're going to do. It says the school that Stefan goes to is selling tickets to a choral performance. On the first day of ticket sales, the school sold 3 senior citizen tickets and 1 child ticket. Then they sold 3 senior tickets and 2 child tickets the next day. Okay, and I know I read through that kind of fast, but I'm trying to get to what they're asking. Find the price of a senior ticket and the price of a child ticket. Find the price of a senior ticket and the price of a child ticket. That's going to tell me what my let statements are. Right, since that's what I'm going to find, that's what I'm trying to find, that's what my let statement is. So let X equal price of senior ticket and I will say let Y equal price of child ticket. So I know now at least what each variable represents. So now I'm going to go back to the information in the problem. On the first day of ticket sales, the school sold 3 senior citizen tickets. Okay, X represents the price of a senior ticket. So 3X, 3 senior citizen tickets and 1 child ticket for a total of $38. Then the school took in $52 on the second day by selling 3 senior citizen tickets and 2 child tickets, and that was $52. Okay, so that's where my system comes from. The first equation comes from that first statement. 3 senior citizen tickets, so 3 times the price of a senior citizen ticket plus 1 times the price of a child ticket is $38. The second equation, 3 times the price of the senior citizen plus tickets plus 2 times the price of the child tickets is $52. Here's my system. Okay, I need to solve my system. Now, I know that my numbers here are the same, but right now they have the same sign. I want to make one of them negative. So I'm going to multiply my top equation by -1. That gives me negative 3x minus y is equal to negative 38. My bottom equation doesn't change. And the reason I did that was because I'm going to eliminate. Right, when I add my two equations, my x's drop out. So negative y plus 2y leaves me with 1y. Negative 38 plus 52, if you're not sure, do that on your calculator. Negative 38 plus 52 gives me 14. So y is 14. Okay, now I have to find x, so I'm going to go back to my first equation. 3x plus y is 38. So 3x plus 14 is 38. Subtract 14 from both sides, right? This is just basic equation solving. So 3x is going to be 24, which means that x is going to be 8. Let's check that to make sure that that is correct. So I solved in the first equation. I'm going to check in the second. 3 times 8 plus 2 times 14 is equal to 52. That would be 24 plus 28 is 52, and you can check that on your calculator. That is in fact true. Okay, so the last thing we have to do is answer the question. The price of a senior ticket is $8, and the price of, that's an of a child ticket is $14. And there you go. Again, I know it seems like a lot of steps, but once you have the equations, it's just solving the system. Okay, let's look at the last one. It says Molly has a total of $4.45 in nickels and quarters. She has a total of 25 coins. How many of these coins are nickels and how many are quarters? Now, you can use X and Y. You can use Q and N if that is easier, whatever way you want to do it. So I'm going to this time use N and Q. So let N equal the number of nickels, and let Q equal the number of quarters. Now, we are going to set up two equations. This problem is a tiny bit different than the other two that we did. When you're dealing with a money problem like this, a number of coins, one of your equations represents the number of coins you have. The other equation represents the amount of money you have. So I know that the number of nickels plus the number of quarters has to equal 25 because I have a total of 25 coins. Okay? Then the next part is how many of these coins are nickels and how many are quarters. Well, I know that each nickel is 5 cents, and I know that each quarter is 25 cents, and I know that has to add up to a total of $4.45. Okay, so when you're doing a money problem like this, and there's one on your assignment, the first equation you want to represent the number of coins. The second one you want to represent the amount of money. Now what I would do here is, me personally, I would get rid of the decimals. So I would multiply this equation by 100. And that's going to give us 5n plus 25q is equal to 445. And then I would take that first equation here and multiply it by -5. That way my n's will eliminate. Okay, so I have -5n minus 5q is equal to -125. So now when I add my equations together, my n's are going to eliminate, and I have 20q is equal to 445 minus 125. That's going to give me 320. And then if I divide that by 20, that gives me 16. So I know I have 16 quarters, which means that I have n plus 16 is equal to 25, which means I have 9 nickels. Okay? And just because my time is going to run out here, I'm going to go through this check really quick. So 0.05 times 9 plus 0.25 times 16 is equal to 445. Okay, so this would be 45 cents, and this would be $4. And I know that that checks. And then I would say Molly has 9 nickels and 16 quarters. Okay, so use these problems when you're doing the assignment. The problems on the assignment are exactly like this. We'll be reviewing this again on Monday. Thanks, everyone.